Hi guys, Toge here with a new video, and this video is actually me testing the Resto Druid damage changes, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to show you guys. This is me in my base form. So I'm just a Resto Druid. Already the mana is only 750 on Moonfire, so there is no excuse to not do it on the enemy, just for pad damage. So basically I'm on my normal form. And I'm going to start doing damage, right? And I'm going to just do rafts. I'm just pressing raf. It does a 92k, between 92k and 95k, depending on procs, depending on whatever. It does some good damage, and if you're critting, it's even harder, right? So this is already a lot of damage. And if you go into tree form, you can spam them à volonté. This is really just purely spam arenas. So you're doing 135ks. Just doing with your Tree of Life, you can just pump. And this is really a lot of damage. And obviously you have the Insignia and the Sophic Devotion, but this is really a lot of damage. Like, this is incredible. If you can just like keep up your Moonfire and like blast the enemy with a target macro, for example, you can easily do hots on your ally and just spam rafts whenever you can. And it doesn't cost too much mana. It's only 500, and you can basically just like destroy someone. And I'm going to test also Starfire, although the chances that I'm going to spam Starfire are pretty low, but I'm going to put that on my bars. So I have Starfire here, I'm going to spam. Obviously you get like a haste buff from the Lycara's teachings, which is a bit easier to cast, and it does some okay damage, like 170 if you have like both procced. It does some okay damage here and there, like 150. Again, if it crits, it does a lot of damage. Now that's something that is very hard to spam, but if you do spam it in the KQ, it's not really a big deal, right? While Wrath, if you do get kicked, it's very annoying. But again, if you have like full hots on both targets, you're fine, right? You're not going to get killed, and you can still like form into bear form if they do switch on you. So that's also an option. Now, the interesting part, if you're going into Moonkin form and you're spamming Wrath. So I'm going to go into combat and you're spamming Wrath, for example, which is something you can do. It's whatever. You do lose the haste buff from Lycara's, but you get mastery buff. It's not that good on Boomy, on Restoration Druid, because like mastery only affects the hots that you're putting on the target. And since you're not like in human form, well, you cannot really cast any like hots. But it's 130k. Like without any buff. So if you're like not into, you can compare it with Tree of Life. Like Tree of Life has the same damage, but it has instant. While Moonkin, if you go into Moonkin form and you spam Wrath, you do get mana back. So that's something you can also do if you have like mana problems and you have like a downtime, especially if you're playing with a rogue or a hunter. If you have good CC, there's always an opening for you to deal a lot of damage. And obviously, once you get like Insignia proc, and once you get like the Sophic Devotion proc, it can do a lot of damage. Obviously, if you have more crit, and you crit a lot, it does a lot of damage. But like, for example, now with Starfire, if you're Moonkin form, it does 235k, 200k as you are a Moonkin. This is a lot of damage. And if you're critting 300k, I mean, if you get a 300k from a healer, you're going to start speaking Chinese, even though you don't speak Chinese. It's going to hurt a lot. Now, the funny part is, I don't even have the Call of the Elder Druid, which is the PvP talent which you can take if you are sacrificing Reactive Resin, or if you're very ballsy, you sacrifice Keeper of the Grove, which I don't like, I prefer to have it. You can take Call of the Elder Druid, and then the pump will start. So be prepared of the damage you're going to do. So if I'm going to do a Moonfire into a thingy, Swarm, I'm going to do Starfires. It does 240k without any procs. Imagine if you do proc, like 350k in crit. If you do proc like Insignia or whatever, this is a lot of damage. This is really obnoxious. I am going to love it in twos. Now in solo shuffle, I'm going to say that it is going to be very difficult to have a lot of value on this, except if you're going to spam Wrath. There is also a world, guys, there is also a world, because I am full mastery, or very close to full mastery, I have like 4k haste, which is still pretty, like, it's a lot. It's still a lot. There is also a world where you do play full haste. Now, the problem is with full haste is your healing is going to suck. The problem with Blizzard is there is mastery as a stat stick, and the balance around the specs are around mastery. So they are thinking, look, you're going to spam mastery regardless, so we're going to nerf the base spells, which is a bad thing, because again, it's easier to balance around mastery instead of around the spells, because if you do that, you have to go for mastery if you want to have good throughput. Now, in a world where you're playing with a very sturdy DPS, I'm thinking about a rogue, for example. If you're playing with a assassination rogue or with a sub-rogue, with a druid, you can easily go full haste without really suffering healing-wise, because they have like stops and they can still run away. Or if you're playing with a warlock, you can also afford to go like half haste, half mastery. And there is a world where your haste is around 40%, and you would be spamming starfires. And once you get like the moonkin form, so if I'm going to moonkin, and then you spam rafts, this is really fast. Like, your GCD is not going to follow it too, but whatever. That's not a problem. But you see the damage, 190k if I do have Sophic Devotion and Gladiator's Insignia plus Heart of the Wild. And this is a spammable ability on a 0.85 second cost. I'm excited. I really enjoy the fact that Druid can deal damage. We have also a Moonfire doing 500k per cast. So if you do cast one time your Moonfire, you're going to deal also a lot of damage. It's 40k, the initial cast, I think, because it critted. And then you have like dots of 20k. Or it could be something else, right? But the damage is really noticeable. You have to now weave some Moonfires. And I also decided to play now with Protector of the Pack, because this is actually extra damage. If I'm healing that guy, for example, I'm going to heal it very efficiently. I'm going to try it, at least. I'm going to try to heal as much as I can. And I have my Protectors of the Pack actually, how it's called, stacking. Once we have that, we can actually have the damage like of a Moonfire on a PvP dummy, for example. I'm gonna just cast this so I stay in combat. Not in combat, but in PvP combat. You know what I mean. So, for example, and you have to think, Adaptive Swarm is also like a useful ability. Huh? It's something you're going to cast. Now, this is the maximum I have, unfortunately. Now, if I go in combat, for example, I'm gonna go back in combat. I'm in combat, I put a Moonfire out, it's 72k plus 28k. It does a lot of damage. And remember, the Protector of the Pack is going to be easier to have in a PvP situation, because you're healing a lot. Like, you're healing 2 targets often in 3s, or also in 2v2 if they're like doing AoE damage. You're going to heal 2 targets, and you're going to obviously have a faster time to deal damage. And now I did only 1 Moonfire, right? I'm going to keep 1 Moonfire on the enemy, so we do have the total damage from Moonfire. And this is also as a Resto Druid, right? We have Protector of the Pack, which is 75k, and you have 1 Moonfire, which did 565k. And you have to remember, if you can spread the Moonfire on multiple targets, then you're becoming a Affliction Warlock Beast, right? Now, again, don't get too excited. It is on a dummy. It might be a bit lower on a PvP player, probably around like... let's be realistic, it's going to be around 300k. If it's higher, it's bonus. But 300k on a 500 mana, like 750 mana spell that is very spammable, that you can spread on multiple targets, can actually feel good. Now, it's not going to be like Shadow Word Pain from Holy Priest, or how it's called, the Penitence, I don't know how it's called. The anyways, the ability from Disc Priest, I don't even remember the name anymore. if someone can say that in the comments, that can spread with a penance, for example, that is going to be still doing more damage. But 20k per tick is actually very noticeable damage. It does more damage than my bleeds on my arms warrior, and that's actually telling you a lot of things. Is it a good thing or not? I don't think so, but for example, Rend doesn't do 20k per tick. It does like around 17k or something like that. The only thing that is good about Rend is it ignores armor. That's the only thing that can actually be saving. And also you have deep wounds and you have other effects, which is going to increase the damage of your Mortal Strike. But that's another point. But this is actually very noticeable and very cool. And I like that Blizzard buffs damage from healers. Now, is it too much? Again, it might feel too much. Like, this is like obnoxious damage, right? I'm doing 280k star surges, and then I'm going to spam rafts. I'm doing 100k DPS, by the way. Look, this is 100k DPS as a healer. If I'm pumping, right? If I'm just deciding to pump, someone is going to die. If he has like nothing like self-heal wise or defensive wise, he is going to like die from that damage. Like, this is respectable damage, by the way. Like, some classes like struggle to get 100k DPS. Now, maybe not right now, but still. Like, we're very close to a DPS-wise DPS, right? So this is really cool. Now, Sunfire is still going to be trash. They need to also, like, remove the mana cost to it. Because I don't even know why you would have Sunfire up. Because it does little damage. And also does 4.5 mana. So, for 4.5k mana, which is, like, the same cost as a rejuvenation, so there is no real justification for that. And it does little damage, like, it does really little damage. It does half the damage of a Moonfire per tick, which is not even, like, this is 30k, by the way. So it's not like something you're going to cost. It should be also gone off my boss, to be honest. But this is pretty much what I wanted to say, right? Now, I would have liked that they buffed like cat form feral affinity, because that is way more high risk. I feel like if you're risking more, you should be rewarded a bit more. But it's a right step to the right direction. I will also make a video about Holy Paladin, because they got also like damage buffs. I want healers to be able to deal damage, because that's how I like my healers to be in MMOs. Like, I played Warhammer Online, where rune priests, which are the dwarves, they could deal a lot of damage if they wanted with burst damage. And then it stopped because it's only burst, and then it comes back with another burst. The same for warrior priest, for example, or other like healers, like for example DOK or whatever. Like, every class in Warhammer actually had like damage. Even if you're a tank, you had damage, so you had some utility behind it. And what I would like to have in World of Warcraft is also to have like healers being able to deal damage, tanks being able to deal damage, but also their survivability lowered. Like, it should be give and take. For healers, they could keep their healing, because then again, if there is more damage, you have to be able to heal. But tanks should be less tanky in PvP, but deal more damage, so you could actually have some flavor, and you could say, today I'm going to play Protection Warrior and not be ridiculed by my allies. That's something I would like to see, without the obnoxiousness of not being able to die, like for example Blood Decay, but like also the flavor of playing another spec that is brand new in PvP, to be honest. If you had like tanks being able to deal damage like DPSers, but you lose the tankiness of it, it would be like straight up 6 new classes, like 6 new specs. That would be fantastic, but I don't know if Blizzard would one day do that. I think they did that with Gladiator's Stance of Warriors, but they quickly removed it. And it would be fine if they actually did it for every single tank, so you could actually have more classes to play with. And I want every single healer to have DPS. I think Preservation Evoker, whenever I played that, it was fun because of the damage it did. Now, I don't play Preservation Evoker because I don't like the aesthetic of a dragon, of like the small, skinny dragon. But it would be fine if Holy Paladin could be doing wings and decide, look, I'm not going to heal, I am the DPS now, and then I'm going to slam you with Judgments and Hammer of Wraths. If I'm a Resto Druid, I want to say, look, I have my HOTS up, now I'm going in, I'm going to take risks, I'm going Feral Affinity, I'm going Moonkin, and then try to get a lot of damage. Or if you're a Disc Priest, you're already pumping, but even more, If you're a holy priest, you should be also be able to pump. If you're a mistweaver, if casting mistweaver, you should be able to do thunder that is doing damage. If you're a Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, you're already doing a damage, but I think you should be have an easier time to deal damage. So you don't really lose on GCDs because again, you're spamming mastery, so your haste is 0. So obviously if you're doing a lava burst casted, it does take time. It should be also like buffed to a certain extent. And I think PvPers would then accept to play healers because that would be cool. That would be a cool way to bring you guys into healing. The same for me. Like right now I am I'm still climbing. 1990 in Soul Shuffle, my ratio is bad because I did lose a lot of my games at the start because I had no gear. And then you have 2v2 here, 1681, and at 3v3 I have like 9 wins and 4 losses. I should be like trying to climb, but I have no time for that. But I like healing to a certain extent, but then like I'm getting annoyed because I cannot participate enough into the victories. Sometimes it is like I'm winning despite me or I'm losing despite me, you know? And I would be able to want to be changing the course of the match whenever I want to change the course of the match. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Really, I appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Again, there is a GoFundMe in the description for the video. I made a video about it, so if you want to check that out, you could always help me with my problem. And hopefully we will see each other very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.